It's almost expected that the disruptors in the urban air mobility market are going to be there in Silicon Valley. ASX was a bit different. They set up in Detroit, the heart of the automotive industry. Anita, you're co-founder of that business. What are you doing? You taking these guys on before putting them out of business?
Well, we're trying to find synergies. So I think there's a big shift to mobility as a service. So I think the automotive sector is also interested in participating in the urban air mobility space.
So for your business, and you're building the vehicles now, you're close to prototypes, are you learning things from automotive, particularly if you've got to upscale?
So absolutely. So our motivation, our business model is actually coupled to being Detroit, specifically to use electric vehicle supply chain that exists from a battery perspective, electric motor perspective, and to pull from the expertise for mass production volume manufacturing, which ultimately can lead to much lower cost vehicles with the same safety and reliability that's required for.
So in many ways, you're actually looking at the equipment that's already being used. So we've not got to reinvent the wheel, as it were, if it already exists.
It's true. And I think if you take a look at how inexpensive it is to manufacture an automobile and how reliable they are, there's a lot to be learned there.
And also, can we talk about infrastructure? Because that's one of the big issues, I think, that we face in urban air mobility.
For sure. Infrastructure probably is the most expensive thing that you can think of, even compared to the space program, which is where it originally came from. So our vehicle design is intended to be able to use existing airports. So we're a tilt-wing aircraft, which means we can fly like a VTOL in terms of taking off and landing vertically, but we can also take off and land like a VSTOL directly off the runway.
So where do you see these being built? Do you see them being built, or do you think we would use existing premises or existing facilities to do that?
So in terms of the vehicle manufacturing or in terms of the vertiports?
In terms of the vertipoints.
Oh, so we see both. So I think in the near term, we can use existing general aviation airports, which have both helipads as well as a runway for traditional takeoff. And then in future, that will couple to vertiports being in city centers, and we'll use those as well.
One thing we are seeing is so many expected, and you must have done in your own projections of how many of these aircraft you're going to build. How does that fit in with the environment?
So there's going to be a scale up. Nothing happens overnight. So even our business model is focused on having 50 aircraft in 50 urban centers in the United States by 2025. So that's 2,500 aircraft. So nothing will happen overnight where you have thousands of aircraft flying per hour than you didn't have before. But eventually over time, the infrastructure will be increased, enhanced. Air traffic control will be increased, enhanced to support a larger volume of traffic.
And I joked earlier at the beginning with the automotive industry. Do you see this being cleaner in a way than, as we are crossing the cities and we're crossing those 6 miles across an average city? Do you see that improvement?
So urban air mobility is very unique in that regard because the use case for urban air mobility is inherently short range, which means you can have a fully electric, emission-free aircraft do the job, so you don't need fuel.
Brilliant. Anita, thank you very much.